I, 28, was with my ex-husband for about 6 years. During this time, we were trying for a baby, but had no success. About 4 years into our marriage had a rough patch. My ex had stress at work and slept with his coworker to relieve it. He confessed to me rather quick, and a week later, they sat me down and told me they were expecting a child. I was an idiot back then, and so I felt like I should forgive him because I truly believed he loved me and I thought I had no one. It wasn't. My ex's family treated me like their own, but my ex's supposed daughter was the apple of their eye. As a result of that, my ex's coworker was frequent presence in our lives. They felt like they had to include the mom of their grandchild for everything too, and she made her way in every family picture and memory. It didn't help that I suspected that the coworker had feelings for my ex and flirted with him when she can. People thought that she was my ex's wife constantly, and I finally had enough when during the baby girl's first birthday party when I was told to take a picture of my ex, his mistress, his daughter and his parents, and it didn't include me. It hit me that I was now treated as the other woman, and I realized that I deserved more than this bullshit. I filed for divorce a few months later and left. It was the hardest time of my life, but I ended up getting a promotion at work and met this sweet, wonderful guy. Fast forward to now, me and my boyfriend are madly in love, and I gave birth to an adorable baby girl that I considered a miracle baby. I got pregnant with my boyfriend like 3 months after dating him, and I thought that it was strange that this could happen since my previous failed attempts with ex and had thought that I was the infertile one. It crossed my mind then that maybe he was the infertile one and he only believed Mistress was pregnant with his child because they were having an affair. I didn't say anything, though, because it was not my place anymore. However, my boyfriend was so happy about my daughter's birth and posted it on Facebook and tagged me in the post. I was still friends with my ex-sister-in-law on Facebook and she saw the post. She called me up and said that she was hurt that I didn't let her know that I could actually get pregnant and the lack of child during my first marriage could be my ex's fault. He took a paternity test. The poor baby girl was never my ex's. The coworker apparently was dating this terrible guy during the time she slept with my ex and didn't know who the child's father was, so she just strung my ex along cause she had feelings for him and thought he'd be the best father for her child. Now my ex blames me for not telling him that I was pregnant way before and him having to father this girl. He's doing pretty bad now and I can't help but feel guilty like I should have told him. Not the a-hole. First of all, what the hell, your ex cheats on you and blames you for him taking on fatherhood for a child that is not his. What a, I am not going to say it because this comment will be removed. Sorry, no rough patch justifies cheating, he should have taken up counseling. He had sex with her, he cheated, he should have considered the possibility that she is having sex with other guys, too. The only one he can blame is the woman who forced that child onto him and himself. Don't feel bad, you don't need to be mad at your ex, but you sure as hell need to grow up and be mad at the audacity that he is trying to make you the bad one here. It's great you still get along with your ex's family, but dude, he made his bed, cheating with his coworker, who was already in bed with another man, now he can lie in it and take care of alimony suits or whatever his plan is. I hope he can figure out something, because that child considers him her dad already, but hell, that woman stole years from him. Not the a-hole. I feel terrible for the baby, but holy shit, what a karmic bitch slap this one is. Not the a-hole. Sucks to be him. He cheated on you and got conned. You're under no obligation to give them information. Not the a-hole. What kind of gaslighting manipulation this is. Of course you didn't need to tell your ex or his family that you were pregnant. Block him and his family if this is how they treat you, and think if you. Also, how would they have taken that little tidbit? Hey, I am just calling to let you know that I am in fact not the infertile one. So chances are the baby you have been fawning over for the last couple of years is most likely not your son's. Have a happy Father's Day. Toodles. No matter how she would say it would come out as spite and vindictive. I bet OP's ex wanted her to tell him so that they could have re-sparked their relationship over his betrayal. My wife is pregnant with our daughter. Initially we were really happy and excited about it. But then, she starts acting like a nut job. She gets angry and irritated for small things, insults me when she doesn't like the food I make, starts acting insecure, and accuses me of losing attraction for her. For example, she wanted to eat chicken sandwiches for dinner last week. Well, I made chicken sandwiches. So she eats all the sandwiches, leaves me nothing, and told me that they tasted like shit. I wasn't pissed because she left me nothing. But if she didn't like them, why did she have to eat everything? When I asked her this, she told me that she was hungry. Okay, fine. She does this every time. Eats everything I make and calls it shit. I don't argue with her because I work for more than 80 hours a week and I really want to have some peace when I'm home. So, yesterday, a random girl starts at flirting with me after the gym and asked me if I wanted to meet up with her for some drinks. I rejected her and told her that I was married. And when I got home, my wife started to hug me and apologize. When I asked her what happened, she told me that her best friend suggested a test for my loyalty. So they asked a mutual friend to flirt with me and asked me out. And I passed. I'm really pissed. I'm done with her antics. Would I be the a-hole if I ask her to move out? Yikes. Might I suggest some couples therapy first? What she did was clearly an A move, though I don't think you'd be in the right to have her move out while pregnant. Lol, what? Being pregnant doesn't guarantee you a relationship if you're being a terrible person. Not the a-hole. This sub infuriates me sometimes. No, not everyone sucks here. Not by a freaking long shot, and I'm curious if anyone would be justifying this if the genders were reversed. You are absolutely not the a-hole, and being pregnant doesn't give you a blank check to turn into a freaking psychopath. Your wife shouldn't be getting a pass on this. At the very minimum you need to separate and go into counseling. Do you really want to be dodging thirst traps and mind games for the rest of your life? Aren't you aware? In this sub, pregnant women can light puppies on fire and claim lol hormones. And be just fine. People don't realize that hormones are not an excuse to be abusive, regardless of context. If you are so hormonal you resort to abuse, or worse, you have a hormonal problem that goes beyond that of normal pregnancy and is likely a danger to the person's health. Then again, people don't really understand much about hormones. Not the a-hole. The eating everything and complaining sounds like pregnant mood swings, and you would be the a-hole for holding it against her. The loyalty test. That's a shitty thing to do. Throwing her out still seems a bit much, especially since she is pregnant. She probably has some self-esteem issues right now. She has a shitty best friend, but maybe you should talk to her and tell her that this stuff is not okay. Hard disagreement here. Being pregnant does not exempt women from being decent human beings, especially in how they treat their spouse. Yes, mood swings will happen, and we should be understanding in the moment, but those swings and behavior should be acknowledged and apologized for in the swings back to level-headedness. I have waited tables for the last 3 years. During my shift last night, a group of 4 women in their late 20s came in. They were a pleasure to have as customers. They ordered 4 of our house cocktails to start with and then went over the menu for their entrees. When I was on my way back to their booth with the drinks on a tray, I walked by the backside and overheard one of them talking about how she was 14 weeks along. When I rounded back, they were talking about the same topic and it was clear to me that she was pregnant. I figured her having 1 drink wasn't a big deal. They ordered their entrees and I went off to handle other tables. About 5 minutes later, they called me over again and asked for another round. At this point I started getting concerned, but I took the order and cheerfully said I'd be right back. This time, I went to the bartender and asked him to make one of them a virgin cocktail. He was confused, but since he's a good friend of mine, I told him to just trust me. A few cocktails later, hers strictly virgin, they started getting rowdy, and Mrs. Pregnant Woman was also getting into it. I figured that since she didn't notice, things were okay. The problem came when I took them their check and they asked to split the bill at the register. When Mrs. Pregnant Woman got to the counter, I saw her cocktails were marked with virgin. My bartender had edited each in the system for inventory. It was too late for me to edit them back, so I just had her pay, hoping that she wouldn't look at the receipt. They all thanked me and left, leaving a generous tip in the process. They were talking in the parking lot for the next short while, presumably waiting for an Uber. Several minutes later Mrs. Pregnant Woman came back and asked what "virgin" on the receipt meant. I fessed up that it meant non-alcoholic. She blank stared me for a few seconds and then asked if she had ordered a non-alcoholic cocktail. I said no, but told her that I assumed she wanted one seeing as she was pregnant. It was a lame lie, and I'll admit it, but she looked me in the eye and asked me to return her part of the tip. I did so. Then she talked to my manager. My manager took me into her office and literally shrieked at me until hoarse. I stood my ground and told her that I'm not going to be responsible for FAS. She told me that she was taking me off the calendar until she decided what to do with me. She also informed me that I could get the restaurant in serious trouble for discrimination, and upon examination of my state's laws, she is correct. But when I talked to my mother and father about it tonight, they told me that they understood my position. The entire staff at the restaurant is against me, and I think that I'm going to call in and tell my manager that I quit, but I still feel in the right here. I would like some perspective on this and if I'm the a-hole here. Everyone sucks here, but you had good intentions. She sucks for obvious reasons. You suck because you had no way to prove she was pregnant, you altered her drink without informing her, and you made a big decision without speaking to your manager. Edit, if she isn't pregnant, OP is the sole asshole here, for the same reasons mentioned above. OP won't even expand upon what he overheard, just keeps quoting himself saying she was definitely pregnant. And to the snarky asshole saying is that the only way to tell if someone is pregnant and let me just carry a test around. Obviously not, but this also isn't about the customer trying to prove she's pregnant, it's about OP and his choice to assume the customer is pregnant simply by overhearing a conversation. OP could have asked the customer, but he still should have talked to his manager first before altering someone's food without telling them. Yeah, don't mess with people's food in any capacity, to be honest. So it's no big deal to give an obviously pregnant woman, like about to pop size, a cocktail with alcohol. Damn it. No. If I was a server and a pregnant lady asked me to bring her any kind alcohol, I would promptly tell her to back off. You're the a-hole. Unless you saw the woman pee on a pregnancy test, you had no way of knowing for sure that she was pregnant. She could have been talking about someone else, a past pregnancy, or she could be planning to terminate the pregnancy. That wasn't your call to make. Even if the OP was sure she was pregnant, it's not their call to make. Pregnant women still have the right to make their own decisions about what to consume. If a woman was pregnant and planning to carry to term, then she's an asshole too. Yes, she can exercise her right to put alcohol in her system, and OP doesn't have the right to make her decisions for her, but it doesn't stop her from also being an a-hole for making the decision to exercise that right. Without knowing the woman's circumstances, however, she may have been intending abortion or OP misheard the conversation. We can't really know, so I agree it's a you are the a-hole. You're the a-hole. I've spent most of my working years in food service, and half of that time has been in management. If I was your manager, I would have fired you on the spot. Well, I agree that pregnant women shouldn't be drinking. You never change a customer's order without their consent. If you had an issue with her drinking, you should have taken it to your manager and let her deal with the situation.